Hi, everybody. Happy afternoon. It's Wednesday, January 27th. It's good to see you all. Let's see. We have some news, which I was not informed of except by chance, that memo number 3 has been posted. So I have been told. And I'll put the URL in the chat. But I did not get this notification through official channels. So you didn't hear it from me? Okay, hold on. So now you're not going to pay attention to anything I have to say because you're all going to be reading this memo. But it was posted, but I did not, as I said, I did not get notification that it was ready to send. So maybe I shouldn't have done it already. Maybe I should have held on to it because we have some important other things to talk about. Okay, so if you can do two things at once, I want you to pay attention because we do have some important information to share. I'm going to be asking Lynn Huang Poi to talk to us about the UH Foundation calling campaign, and No Ao is going to update us on participation verification. Very important things. Thanks, Hal. Thanks, Steve. I know you're going to pay attention because you read it already. And you'll be the first ones to ask questions because you've read it already. Everybody else is going to be formulating questions as they read through it. So, Lynn, can you update the campus on the foundation calling campaign?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Can I share my screen?
Let me make sure. I think so, but yes, can.
Simple announcement. We are beginning our annual calling campaign, and this comes from the students in our call center. So they will be calling for the community colleges. Let me share my screen. This is a photo that we took last week when Chancellor had a chance to go to the call center and talk with the students.
That's Bernie Sanders, by the way. I don't know how he got there, but
I thought you all would get a little fun out of that. So we updated the students, of course, on our enrichment fund and our campus initiatives. So they'll be reaching out. The first thing they'll do is ask for update to contact information, which may sound a little creepy, but hopefully they identify themselves well enough. And hopefully, if you get a phone call from anybody that says, is this calling campaign going on? Is this for real? Is it a scam? That you'll be able to give them this information or say, yes, we do have a calling campaign going on. So that's about all I needed to announce today. If there's any questions, please let me know. But just to let you guys know that this is happening, and it's going to be a cycle with our campus, the other community colleges, and the other four-year institutions as well.
Thanks. Are there questions for Lynn right now about the campaign? If they do call you, say thank you and donate to your favorite cause.
This is part of annual giving. It's not part of major gifts, but it helps now that we have this forum here, so I can just make a quick announcement, and it's also in the bulletin. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, great. Thanks, Lynn. Noel? Participation verification update.
So you should have gotten some emails from Maria already about the participation verification. The box that you check in their grade roster has disappeared. It disappeared on January 21st, which is the deadline to certify your courses. You should have gotten another email stating that if you did not certify your courses, basically there's a process for that where you would just email Jerry from Kekalike the list of students who need to be removed from your courses. The other thing Maria sent out was if you need to reinstate students because they were mistakenly disenrolled, there's a form that you would fill out that would then go through the process of getting approved by Maria and Jerry. Please know that the form is to be filled out by the instructors, and students cannot fill out that form. In fact, if they submit a form and it's a student, basically they're going to get sent back to the instructor because it's a form in Kuali. So basically it has to be with UH credentials based on our staff. The one thing I want to talk about for participation verification, I know it's a new policy and it's probably implemented at a terrible time when we're trying to do a lot of different things. The other thing is I need the campus to understand how it impacts students in particular, as well as our colleagues. So of course, the participation verification, as stated earlier, it's a system thing, and it really has to do with financial aid and guidelines to kind of make sure that we comply with those rules and regulations. With students though, by not certifying or by leaving them off, or if we miss them, which will happen in some cases, these students most likely will assume that they will either A, be removed from the class, and then B, also be given a refund, because that's what's stated in the policy. What is likely to happen though, if we miss these students and these students isn't checking their emails or whatnot, and let's say they register and don't check it for the next 4 to 5 years, these students will be notified once the state, because we're part of the state institution, once the state will start pulling money off of their tax returns to get the money they owe for classes. So yes, it's kind of a tedious process to go and certify these students, but what we're trying to do is prevent situations like these from occurring. I mean, usually these situations occur with our office. They probably send in an appeal within a year or two saying, hey, I didn't take the class, can you remove the charges? However, for those students who never ever check their UH again, and again, based on the assumption that they'll be removed from classes, they usually get a letter saying that because they owe money, that the state is gonna start taking money away from that. And it's a really not a really good surprise for our students 5 to 6 years later down the line to see something like that. So that is probably the biggest implications that is happening for our students. The other thing for our colleagues, as we do this process, when we do miss these deadlines and now we have to go through a manual process, if you look on the forms do have to be individually approved by both, I think our BCAA and registrar. So I know everybody has emails coming in through their inbox, but just imagine having to approve each one of these students trying to be put back into these courses. And this is what our colleagues are dealing with in terms of their inbox and trying to get this all done really through this week. So I think I will say as we move forward, we'll definitely improve the process. I think it's a little bit confusing the first time around. I did send out some reports that were mislabeled and then probably included some of the part-term courses, which wasn't included in this initial process, and we'll get better at it. But I guess I really needed to share to understand the bigger implications of the participation verification as it deals directly with our students as well as our colleagues here on campus. I see a lot of questions coming in, and I'm going to try to scroll to the top to see if I need to answer them or if people are answering them already.
There's lots of questions about people who really did not participate, were disenrolled, but now they want to come back in. So what about those guys?
Okay, let me check one by one. Do they still need that? Most of them, okay, most of them, if they're students, oh, okay, yeah, sorry, let me go back to Candy's questions. So if your students did participate, right, and you didn't have to mark off anybody, would you still need to check the box? Yes, because that would show that you certified, and then when we pull our report, then we wouldn't really worry about it. If you miss the deadline and you have students, but they all participated, do you need to do anything? No, not at this point, because all of your students would still be in the class. How your question, the students who were disenrolled, if they were not, sorry, the double negative kind of messes me up all the time. What about students who were not mistakenly disenrolled, but went back in anyway? With those students, if they weren't taken out by our means, through our measures, and they want back, maybe they dropped on their own, that's really up to the professor. because those students made their decisions on their own. It's only if we force them out, then you would have to enroll them back to the quali form. Oh, sorry, Jerry's answering too.
And Kavehi and Amy.
How about I do this? Because there's going to be a lot of questions. How about I copy and paste, and then I'll consult with Maria, and then we can send out an email, because this one might go longer. And I'll try to hit all the different scenarios and then the instructor's responsibilities.
But what it sounds like, I mean, just from what I read is, if the person really didn't show up and did not participate and was marked as such, and then shows up and says, please, I want to come back in, then it's up to the faculty member to determine whether or not it's legitimate. I mean, it's up to you. If you feel that there's been too much already missed and the student is not going to, then no need. Because what you did was right.
Yeah. Sorry, Maria is nodding. Yeah, Maria?
Yeah, that's what I told Amy, because Amy asked me the same question yesterday. And I said, it's the faculty's decision on what to do when you have something of, that kind of situation.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, this is not a way for students to basically be added late or into the classes. This really has to do with, I mean, either they couldn't participate, or maybe if you have an in-person class, but they couldn't get into the state because of quarantine or whatnot. But basically, if they're dropped and said, I want to be back in, but didn't really do anything yet, then under the rules, they wouldn't have participated in the course.
Okay. Other thoughts about participation verification?
Yeah, just a couple reminders. If you did not certify but need to send a list of students who did not participate to Jerry to disenroll, basically, can you do that by, I forgot what I put in the email. Tomorrow. Okay, yes, tomorrow. And the other one, the quali form, which Maria sent out to add students back in that was mistakenly withdrawn, those have a deadline of February 1st.
But if I'm a faculty member and I put that form in it and it makes it sound like I'm the one that made the mistake when it was really, I'm doing this kid a favor. Can I cross that out and just say, I'm being really a good person and letting this person back in? I didn't mistakenly drop them.
There is a comment there, Louise.
There is, I could do that?
Yeah, you can explain yourself if you want to.
Okay. It's on the students, not me. I did what I was supposed to do. I don't like admitting to well, I do. I admit to mistakes that aren't mine all the time, but not so individual.
I'm pretty sure we pass no judgment on if these forms come in. We're just trying to get the student back in.
Yeah.
Okay. Jen.
Yeah, I actually, this was an interesting semester, I think, because registration ended so late. It really didn't give us a lot of time to reconfirm with some of our students who registered late, and they're like, are you actually going to be coming to class? So I think, I'm hoping that in subsequent semesters, we will have a little bit more breathing space between when registration ends and when we have to verify participation, because I was still checking with a couple students waiting for their response because one had some family issues and needed to miss a couple days. I just wanted to check in, are you still participating? But this was only the second week. So by the time I got that verification, the participation ended. Now, fortunately, I have 100% participation, but I'm hoping we will have a little bit more wiggle room in future semesters. Noelle, is that possible?
I guess the easiest way to answer that is there's a bunch of different deadlines that come into play, either with census date. The other one that is probably more high of a priority that I probably pay more attention to now is that if we extend it too long, for the instructors, if we extend this, you're basically also extending the timeline for students to be back into the class. So as I think somebody was saying, letting them in 3 weeks behind, to be honest, that's not, from a student success perspective, that's a bad start already. So we're trying to put all these timelines into place, and there was never an answer for all of it. And I would like to extend it from a student's perspective, but even for me, that February 1st deadline to add people back in, that's already worrisome for a student to start that late. And of COVID and online, it's just, it's a recipe for disaster right now.
Yeah.
So no easy answer, Jan, but I think we do take a lot of different things into consideration, and it'll most likely change somewhat for the fall semester.
Right.
You don't have to do it for the summer. We don't do anything for summer, so summer instructors, you guys are okay.
Yeah, no, Hal, you're right. Not a favor to be let into class after 3 weeks, but sometimes for some students, they can do it. But judgment call for sure.
And the language we can change on the Kuali form, Kavehi. I mean, those ones we just kind of created, so I believe we have control over those, right, Maria? We can
good.
just change the ones.
Okay, any other ELT have anything they need or want to share? Okay.
I have a, oh,
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Navarro.
so just a quick, maybe comment, Noel, is or a question, do you think we can, of the students that we do disenroll from the course, do you think we can get a list of those students? I wouldn't mind trying to see if I can track them. Because what I'm seeing is that if we disenroll the students and then another campus they enroll at another, I don't know, I just don't want to be losing students because, sorry. I can just see how this might go badly. We withdraw the students and LCC will be like, oh, we'll pick you up.
I think, I mean, yeah, we could. I mean, basically, Jerry will have the final list of students that would have to be removed.
Okay.
And we can share that list with you guys.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, anybody from the Brady Bunch squares? Anybody have questions?
Candy, to answer your question, we don't know yet because the numbers are still coming in. So I think I can ask Jerry to report back once she actually removes all the students. That'll give us an idea. Well, I mean, it's hard too because I think Jerry's list has, it'll be, if a student is in 3 classes, you might count that student 3 times. So we'll see what we have at the end of the day. But that probably won't come in until maybe next week. And the other thing is, this is also new for students. So, I mean, I expect a lot of complaints about this later on in the semester. So it is fairly new, and it's kind of weird to start something in a spring semester. Usually fall is when we do these kind of things because you get summer to really warn the students about it. But so, like I said, just making progress from here on out. I think, Joanne, this was actually part of the answer to the purge. I mean, this wasn't really the answer to the purge. This was the answer to basically complying with the rules, but this also helped to not purge instead. So sorry, the purge is previously we would disenroll students if they never made any payments prior to the semester beginning.
This is tied to financial aid too, though, right?
Yeah. Because the other thing, I think if instructors, if you did not certify and you left the student in, if the student ended up failing the course, you would have to put the last day of attendance as well in there. So, I mean, this would have been I guess, a way to get them out earlier too, so you don't have to kind of trace back all that information.
Can I just mention this is Candy?
Mhm.
Because I'm getting complaints too to the Senate, and I just want to remind people that this, what do we call it, the no-show policy for a long time, and then, it became participation verification, that it was a federal mandate, and that it's something that we had to do, and that it did go to the Senates for consultation, all of the Senates. So it did go to the ACC, FSC, and went to every campus for feedback. And so consultation did happen. And I just want to point that out, that this isn't a surprise, that this was a very, very long rollout. And it took a long time just to get to this first semester. So I just wanted to remind everybody that it absolutely did go to the Senates.
Right. Jerry put in the count of how many of the classes were verified. So that's just less than 50%.
As I was saying, Louise, I think that a lot of people thought that if all of their students were participating, that they didn't realize that they just needed to check a box,
Right.
and just didn't do anything. So they may have actually, done the work, but then didn't check the box. So I
Right.
think that's something we can learn from.
I hope so. And Kavehi, I'm not sure what you expect. Can you explain what you're looking, what the interest is?
No, I'm just curious if there are international students who will be disenrolled and maybe leaving us. I don't know. It's just curious, especially because Host has so many international
Yes.
students,
Yes,
right? And they're not on financial aid.
right. So
So,
it's not for that reason.
right.
But then you might, I mean, yeah, once we know, we'll know better who got disenrolled, and then we could see if there's anybody who is an international student who was disenrolled.
Yeah.
It would likely be by error, I'm sure, since they have to be enrolled in 12 credits. Otherwise, they're out of status and they're going to get deported. So that's a bigger implication.
Can I ask what Joanne is asking?
Yeah, I assume that one of the reasons why this became a policy was because we were not doing the purge, but Noel said it was the opposite way. That it was
this
because,
was, I mean, yeah, this participation verification is like 2 years in the making.
Yeah, and I think too, the practice, the procedures that are in place now that are the replacement for the pre-registration purge is the hold on registration for the subsequent semester. So before, we used to kick students out before the semester started if they didn't pay before the first day of instruction. Now we allow them to continue in that semester, but they are prevented from registering in the next semester if they have not yet paid for this semester. So that's what's been in play instead of the purge.
Yeah, and then when we did have the purge before, I mean, we were disenrolling probably close to 400 to 500 students earlier on before the semester started. With this new process, I mean, it's really hard to tell, but nowhere near those numbers anymore.
There's a question from Mickey about students might not understand what constitutes participation, but it's not the students who determine what is participation, right? It's the faculty, the teacher.
Yeah, and there were multiple ways which they could do it. I mean, I think the website for participation verification gave some examples, but said it's really, I mean, it could be determined in a variety of ways.
Other thoughts? Other questions? Okay, I think we're done. Oops, here we go. Yes. I'm going to refrain from making the comment that I was going to make about body functions and purges, but. All right, if there are no other questions or concerns, we are about to call this meeting to an end.
Oh, Louise?
Oh, sorry, I have an announcement to make. Thank you. I have it already to go into the chat. In fact, I think. Yes. Okay. See, I had it ready to go and then I forgot. Jamie, you want to go ahead and say something, or anyone from the SLOA committee want to make a plug for AO Day on March 5th? Cheryl or David Wedoy, anybody from SLOA committee? Not here. So March 5th is the Excellence in Ed Day, also known as HISSI Day, and there will not be one. Actually, the one last year was our last time that we were all together face to face, in fact. So on our campus on March the 5th, we're going to be having a half-day event organized and sponsored by Faculty Senate SLOA Committee to be looking at learning, teaching, assessment, online tools for, online tools for effectiveness and more. So please save the date. It is a non-instructional day, but it is a work day. So put it on your calendar. There'll be special sessions organized by the SLOA folks and their allies.
Louise, if you're taking a quick
SLOA
question.
is the Student Learning Outcomes Assessment Committee. Sorry, Dave, I was going to ask you if the planes were landing well today, but go ahead.
I want to join the Cool Kids Club. Can somebody remind me where we're getting the 75th anniversary Zoom backgrounds?
Who's going to be the first to get the URL? Come on. Who's going to win? It's either going to be Angela or Lisa. I'm gonna see who's going to get there first. It's Yoshin.
Thank you.
Yo.
Thank you very much.
And there's not even a prize.
Louise.
Yes, Alfred.
Hi. This is just a pitch. I've heard that Zoom has the capability of doing real-time closed captioning. And I know the UH system does not have that level of, I guess, purchase to get to that. Is there, best of your knowledge, the possibility that the system or at least the UHCC can get closed captioning real time? Considering that everything's moved online, and this would be a nice feature for our students and faculty too. A pitch.
It's a pitch. Thank you for that. I'll bring it to the attention of those who might be able to do something about it, especially in a system-wide perspective. So I will add it to my notes for the next meeting of the Chancellor. It is, I don't remember how much it costs. Do you remember? Or do you know?
I don't. It's a higher level that's required. It's just recently.
But it costs money. It costs money.
Yeah, it does. I mean, Google Meet has that capability, and basically, when I do conferencing with my students, I use Google Meet, the corporate version that UH has. And that's been really great. But for Zoom, I'd like to have the real-time captioning if possible.
So it is an option. If you go to the more, if you're the host and you go down to the more, you should be able to find where it says live transcript. And it will, I can send you some information, but it will allow you to do that. You just have to turn that setting on.
I have it right now. I'm looking at it
I turned it on, yeah.
I've tried it, and basically, it does something, but basically it's too slow, and all it does is capture one or two words. So it's not a true real time. There needs to be background support, and I think that's a higher level of Zoom that we need.
It might
I can see
be,
it. It looks
yeah,
good right now.
it's
It looks good.
capturing everything you say, Alfred. Yeah, really well. So it might be maybe your connection speed when you're on the meeting, but as you're speaking right now, it was captioning it pretty clearly.
Wow, I never even knew that. I'm watching it. Oh, and I can read what I said. This is great. This is an infinite loop. I could just keep talking to myself and reading my.
Oh, okay, then I will try it out, because I did try it, and with my students when I had a Zoom, and basically it was a dud.
Louise, try speak French.
Pourquoi? Ça me tente pas.
Ah, look, no can. Sometimes
Ça
bar.
c'est la
Yeah.
question, mais c'est pas possible.
Nava,
But
speak
you know,
pigeon.
I know, that thing not gonna read them.
No, but I was watching the captioning when Mike Unibasami folks were at the state legislature, and his name was captioned as, oh God, Mike Rosa Bus. Oh gosh, what, I wrote it down somewhere, but it was Rosa Bus Tommy.
If I may ask, Jamie, you may have set up this meeting. Do you have a higher level access than all of us do, or are you using the same?
No, so that's the beautiful thing. Now that ITS does all the Zoom licensing, I just have the same level access as you, but I'll reach out to you and touch base to make sure that you know how to turn it on and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I turned it on now, and
Okay,
it's working, because like yesterday, it was a dud. It didn't work. I mean, I've set it all up, so that's why I make it.
It's doing really well. It's transcribing you pretty accurate.
Yes, it is. So I'm so happy about that.
Yeah, good thing you asked. So now I'm going to take that off my list of things to talk about. Thank you. Zoom's captions, Jan Fried says, are not as good as the other platforms. Jan would know that. Internet bandwidth, Yo-Yo says. Were you doing it from home, Alfred?
No, I've been doing everything from school. I know I have the best access at school versus home.
Yeah, me too. Okay. The little men in the machine are doing a better job today than they were yesterday for you, Alfred. They're typing faster.
Jamie, does just the host have the option to turn that off and on, or do any participants?
Yeah, I think just the host. Yeah. And then also if anybody uses Google Slides, they have really pretty good, pretty accurate closed captioning too, but you obviously have to have that up while you talk and share screen.
Oh, thanks, Darsh. So there's a link to some assistance for Zoom transcription. Wow, sure learned a lot today. Are we good? Done? Anything? Going? Anything else, Dave? I've missed you the last couple of Zooms.
Yeah, you know, those self-study reports don't write themselves. Sorry.
Did you get it finished?
Oh yeah, yes. Yeah, you signed the final version. So
Oh, that's right.
yeah.
With online, that's right.
Yeah, so you're held accountable as just as much as I am.
And I take that very seriously.
I know you do. And thank you for the edits.
Okay.
Very helpful. Very helpful. And sorry, just real quick on that issue. You know, working on a self-study now after so much work has been done on the campus for our self-study. And the follow-up work that had been done, especially on things like the continuous improvement process, really made my job so much easier. And
Yeah.
I'm not resistant to say of how much stuff I ripped off and charts I used and all those kind of things. So I know folks like Jamie and Joanne and Sunny, and I know I'm missing a boatload of people, but really thank you for all the work that you did, and it really organized things so much with so much quality and so much clarity that it really answered so many of our questions well. So thank you very much.
Yeah. So all those programs that are going to be going up for accreditation in the next couple of years, you do have a resource in the institutional self-study that we did, and the follow-up report in particular, which brings everything up to date. Thanks, Dave.
You bet.
Okay, I am about to shut down the meeting. Are we all right? We're okay. Nava'a says we're good, so we're good. All right, everybody, unmute, say goodbye, and we'll see you next week.
Aloha, everyone.
Okay,
Bye.
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 Hi, everyone.
Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.